Well, hello everybody. Jason W. News Revolution Cave. Happy Saturday. That's right. I don't have to tell you what's happening today. Saturday. It's Nup All Night 5. We've got a little mix of TV, a little mix of food, a little mix of NBA 98, Game 2, Season 1. I'm only playing a 28 game season. Every win counts. And then a little room remodel. A little room remodel. You know how I do. You know how I do. So we're going to have a good time tonight. I have taken another bookshelf out of my room, and we're going to have so much space. I love it. It's just, everything's just going to look so good. It's just going to look so good. And we've already talked about it. Let's do Wrestling with the Past. Look, I love TNT. I do. I think TNT is a fun show. I think it's a silly show. I think it's, I know I liked it as a kid even though it was kind of adulty and some of it a little over my head. I know I loved it as a kid. And, but I can tell you right now that what I witnessed last night was the worst TNT episode I have ever seen, and some very, very bizarre WWF programming. This is either 419. We're going to call it 419 in the title. I think I'm a little either up a week or down a week in my TNT viewing. I think my discs are off. That's okay. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Everything is still in line. So we're going to call this 41985 Tuesday Night Titans, TNT. This episode is not on the Peacock Network. It's not on the WWE channel, the WWE network, and I didn't know why. And after I watched it last night, I thought, well, it's because it's a horrible episode. That wasn't the case. It's because there's a lot of copyrighted music in this one. That is basically the entire final two skits. So we'll get to that. This is a big TNT, even though it's the worst TNT I've ever seen. It is still a big TNT as a result of an angle that culminates, I guess, here on the show. But before that, we've got Vince McMahon and Alfred Hayes welcoming us to Tuesday Night Titans. I don't even know if they call it Tuesday Night Titans anymore because it's on Friday night. So it's just TNT. Right off the bat, I don't know why, but Vince McMahon says, Alfred, we've gotten several letters from the viewers who don't like your hair. And so I have taken the liberty to purchase, or I don't think he says purchase, but to have this here collection of wigs. Alfred, would you do us the honor of trying on these wigs? And then, Alfred is like, I don't know. So Vince gives him wigs, and Alfred is just trying on the wigs, and they're all silly. And one of them at the end, he likes, but silly, just silly. Alfred is trying on wigs. And then from there, they introduced their first guest. And odd choice. We've got Dr. Jerry Graham, an old-timey 70s wrestler. Dr. Jerry Graham is brought out, and he's quite girthy. He's quite round. He's just got an odd-shaped physique, as they say. And he kind of lumbers out and shakes everybody's hand and sits down. And I'm like, what? Why? And basically, they just talk about how much of a bad guy Dr. Jerry Graham was, and how he just riled up the crowd and generated such a reaction. And then they show some old photos of Jerry Graham and his brother. I don't know if these are legitimate brothers, Eddie Graham. And then at one point they brought in Crazy Luke Graham, who I don't know who Crazy Luke Graham went on to be. Did he go on to be one of the Moondog? I don't know. I have no I have such limited interest in 70s WWF. I have no idea. Luke Graham says that his, he brought in Eddie Graham, and that's boy. If you want a real downer, I'm pretty sure that Eddie Graham committed suicide. Well, I know he committed suicide, but the story is he shot himself in the head and wasn't dead yet. So he shot himself a second time. Eddie Graham, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know. But I don't know if this is before or after the death of Eddie Graham. Not sure. But Jerry Graham talks about how his sons are coming up, and he mentions Mike Graham. And we've heard about Mike Graham, who also committed suicide, I believe, recently. And then he says that Billy Graham was his cousin, superstar Billy Graham, who's nowhere near the WWF at this time. In fact, he's over on TBS doing the karate gimmick with the bald head and the mustache and his karate Billy Graham. So they mention him, and then we're done. We're done with Jerry Graham. Okay. We get no match. We get no footage of Jerry Graham, just old photos. And then from there, we have the highlight of this episode, and really just a beautiful story. Paul Orndorff and Bobby Heenan are brought out, and it's Heenan. Orndorff is still the heel. Orndorff is still, he's certainly not giving us any clues. They sit down and, looking at this in hindsight, as you know what's going to happen, McMahon is he is the kind of the cause of what's about to happen. And obviously looking back, that's what the intention was. But Bobby Heenan asks, how difficult is it to manage the likes of Big John Studd and Ken Patera and even Paul Orndorff? Bobby, how difficult is it to rein in some of these egos of your stable? And Heenan says, no, it's easy. It's easy to manage. It's easy to manage Studd, Patera. It's easy to manage Orndorff, because they rely on me. They count on me. I'm the manager. They just have to get in the ring and perform. I handle everything else. And Orndorff just kind of looks over at him and, okay, no big deal. They move on. And Vince then asks, all right, Bobby, just how much credit do you give yourself for the success of your wrestlers? And Bobby again talks about his role as a manager, and he says that there's no good wrestler without a good manager. And again, you see Orndorff, kind of look at him. I love it. I'm so excited. And then they go to WrestleMania. They showed the WrestleMania highlights of Orndorff, botching his role and getting hit with the cast and going down. And they come back. It's a quick clip. They come back, and Vince asks, all right, Bobby, you saw that. Would you say that you're disappointed in the outcome? And Bobby goes, well, look, it didn't go the way we wanted it to. Look, Piper's been around tag teams forever. Orton's been in tag teams forever. Paul Orndorff, and then Orndorff goes, well, I've been in some tag teams too. And all right, don't get upset, Paul. And then Bobby Heenan says, well, look, me and Roddy Piper met that day. We met before WrestleMania at Madison Square Garden. We talked about how we wanted the match to go. And Paul goes, wait a minute, you what? You and Piper met to talk about the match? Yeah, we, he's kind of blowing him up. Yeah, Paul, I took care of that. Yeah. Well, why wasn't I included? And then Bobby Heenan's like, I left you a message, Paul. You didn't get the message, so I went and I took care of it. And now Paul Orndorff's upset. He's upset. And Bobby Heenan's trying to tell the story, but Paul Orndorff keeps interrupting. Well, what business is out of mine? I'm your manager. I'm in control here. And Bobby Heenan stands up, because Paul Orndorff is, don't talk to me that way, Paul. Don't talk to me that way. I'm your manager. You do what I say. Then he says, I made Mr. Wonderful. And it really happens fast. It really happens fast. Totally, you know, it's obviously planned, but it all happens a little fast. You know, the big breakup happens fast. Well, now Paul Orndorff stands up as Bobby Heenan stands up, and Paul Orndorff goes, let me tell you something. And Bobby Heenan sits down. Paul, and take it easy, Paul. You know, nobody tells me nothing, blah, blah, blah. And I got one thing to say to you, Bobby Heenan, you're fired. I think that's where McMahon got it from. And Orndorff storms off. Well, Bobby Heenan goes absolutely bananas. He's furious. He's upset. And he kind of threw himself off. Bobby Heenan never fumbles and bumbles through what he's going to say. But he's so worked up and so upset that he's stuck on a couple of lines and he can't remember what he's trying to say. And he slaps a cup off of McMahon's desk and he's furious. You know, you're going to regret this. You know, you don't fire me. You don't embarrass me like this. And he's outraged. He's outraged. I love it. He walks off. Nobody fires me. Nobody. And he's scary. He's legit scary. Bobby Heenan is scary at how angry he is. He storms off and we go to commercial. And I just sat there and went, this is so good. This is so good. And I wish that I could remember how I felt watching this as a kid. Up next, we've got King Kong Bundy and Jimmy Hart. Bundy, I've said it before, Bundy, and I'm not body shaming anybody. Okay, don't get sensitive. I'm not trying to make anybody feel bad. King Kong Bundy is an odd looking fella. He comes out with pants and no shirt on. And he's just a circle. That's all Bundy is. He's literally just a circle with some legs, kind of just walking out. Like everything, there's no like cutoff from his head and his body, and he has no hair, you know, the eyebrows are gone. So everything just looks like it's just kind of all together. His head, neck, and torso are just one piece, right? So like he doesn't have a head that can go like this. He'd have to go like this because he's all one giant piece. And he's just a weird looking fella. They are talking about how impressed they are with the 9-second victory at WrestleMania. And they do call it a world record, by the way, not just a World Wrestling Federation record. No, indeed, it's a world record. Bundy says he wanted to win in 5 seconds, but he could only get it done in 9. All right. And why the 5 count, Mr. Bundy? And he says, well, because, you know, when I beat a man, I don't want to hear that they got a fast count. So I give him 5 seconds. So there's no question he was down for the count. And you know what? Makes a ton of sense. For the first time, Bundy mentions that he's gunning for Hulk Hogan. So I wouldn't say that we're anywhere near the build to WrestleMania 2, but Bundy mentions Hogan. And he says he's going to beat him. And McMahon, you know I'm going to beat him. And Jimmy Hart's just doing his thing. And then out of nowhere, you know, McMahon says, well, Jimmy Hart, in addition to being a manager 24/7, you're also a singer. And this gets us to Jimmy Hart singing, and he joins the TNT band, and he sings a song called Roll Over Beethoven. And it's roll over Beethoven, roll over Beethoven, roll over Beethoven. Somebody's in town is like the real lyrics, but he fills in King Kong Bundy's in town. And so that's okay. And I know Hart's was a real singer, with the Gentrys, and he sings all over the wrestling albums and stuff. It's kind of awful. It's almost like karaoke style singing. It's just not good. It's a decent karaoke singer. Sorry, that's my opinion. So he sings the Roll Over Beethoven, then he laughs, because that's what you're supposed to do after you sing, and then he says, "Eat your heart out, Cyndi Lauper." Okay. Then we get Bundy versus Aldo Marino, and then we come back, and now King Kong Bundy is trying on the wigs himself. And he's putting on the wigs, and he'll like only have them on for a little minute and a little bit, and they'll go, no, I don't like this. I don't like it. And then he puts on a wig that has like the one that Alfred liked, and it's got like a part in it, and he's wearing it, and he's like, well, I don't know. I kind of like this one. Jimmy, what do you think? I mean, do you like it? And he's like real sensitive, right? He's like big, goofy, sensitive guy. But Lord Alfred Hayes now starts laughing. He just and Bundy is furious. He whips the wig off. He stands up. He's threatening Alfred Hayes. Hayes is still trying to hold back the laughter. Bundy's up he's the big dopey bully at school who I don't know, shows a sensitive side that everybody laughs at him, and then he's like beating everybody up again. Okay, then we come back from break, and we've got Josie Ann Pennington from the Barbizon Modeling Agency, and she's sitting at the TNT couch, and McMahon says, "Well, all right, we've got a modeling show for you." And they go to the set, and it's like a dock. So it's like a beach dock set, right? They got beach balls around, and so it's a pier. And these random models are modeling beachwear. And they're just like walking up and down kind of the catwalk thing, and they're turning around, they're modeling, and the Barbizon lady is telling us what they're wearing. And McMahon's like, "Well, all right, that's very impressive." And then so then the girls leave, and then a clown comes out, like a clown mime type thing, comes out on a unicycle, and he's like pulling, the string out of his mouth and the clown balls he's got in his mouth. And he's pulling that out. And then he's like, then he lights some stuff on fire, and he swallows the fire. Then he lights these things on fire again, and he's juggling fire while he's on the unicycle. I'm not kidding. And I'm sitting here going, what in the actual deuce is this? And why? Well, the unicycle gimmick was to have the models change into bathing suits. And the skit continues. The girls are now modeling bathing suits. And McMahon's going nuts. He's going absolutely nuts, because the Barbizon lady says that the bathing suits are a one-pull bathing suit. And McMahon goes, "Well, and what exactly is a one-pull bathing suit, if you will?" Well, it's held together by one knot. So if you just pull one knot, it all comes off. And McMahon's like, "Oh, well, I beg your pardon. I think that's a great feature. And what kind of a knot is it?" Then we go to a commercial for WWF on Tour, which is not on the Peacock network. So it's cool to see my discs have this. So they do the, coming to a town near you. They run down. That's the best part of the show right here, to be honest with you. They come back. They continue the freaking fashion show. And then McMahon, so the girls are walking, and then McMahon goes, "Well, now who is this coming out?" And it's Lord Alfred Hayes. And he's wearing like this weird two-piece striped like short set, and he just looks awful. And he's walking around, and he's over and he's just like pulling up his shorts to show his calves. And McMahon's like, disgusting. And then Jimmy Hart comes out again, And he grabs the mic and he's walking around and he sings California Girls. And he really does sound awful. It's bad karaoke. Jimmy Hart's a bad karaoke singer. But he doesn't say, I wish they all could be California girls. He says they wish they all could be King Kong Bundy's girls. And then Bundy comes out onto the catwalk there. This is all on a set. And Bundy comes out and Jimmy Hart is offering each girl to him. And King Kong Bundy goes, no, not interested. And then she does the next, Hart does the next one. Oh, look at this one. Look at this one. Bundy, look at this one. No, not interested. Because Bundy now has his eyes on the Barbizon lady who's sitting at the set. So he walks off the stage there, off the catwalk, goes over to the set and starts sitting down next to this Barbizon lady and starts like wooing her. How you doing? And he's real close to her. It's disgusting because he's a gigantic circle. Then we go to another commercial break. I think. Are we done? Is that it? Is that the show? Oh, no, that's not the show. That's not it yet. Then we have, let's see. Then we have, it closes with Lord Alfred Hayes comes back out to do in another striped outfit. He changed outfits. He's walking around. Bundy's with the girl on the set, just totally molesting her. Jimmy Hart comes out and dumps water on Lord Alfred Hayes' head to get revenge on when Lord Alfred Hayes laughed at King Kong Bundy. And we close with a wet Lord Alfred Hayes just sitting there going, ah! And Jimmy Hart cackling the whole time. And McMahon at his desk as Bundy's like all over this girl. McMahon's like, well, all right, that's TNT. Yeah, that's all fact, folks. There's your TNT episode for April, what'd I say? April 19th or something? I don't even know what I said. It's so bad. Yeah, April 19th, 1980 and 5. Is that what they say? 1980 and 5. I'm blown away at how bad this episode was and how silly and stupid. But as I've talked it through with you, I guess I loved it. I don't know, because that's TNT. Would I have sat there as a kid and been all over this? Yeah. And I probably would have walked around singing, they wish they all could be King Kong Bundy's girls. Good night now.